Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. The Long Hot Summer is a 1958 drama film that was directed by Martin Ritt. The screenplay was done by Irving Ravitch and Harriet Frank Jr., and it was all based on 3 works that were done by William Faulkner. Spotted Horses from 1931, and a short story called Barn Burning from 1939, and then the novel Hamlet. Some of the characters, as well as the tone of the movie, are inspired by Tennessee Williams' 1955 play Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, which an adaptation was done to film that also starred Paul Newman. The storyline follows 61-year-old widower Will Varner, played by Orson Welles. He's in ill health, but he owns many businesses and property in Frenchman's Bend, Mississippi, including a large plantation. His children are a complete disappointment to him, as he sees them as not being able to carry on the Varner name in the style which he has built around it. His son, Jody, played by Anthony Franciosa, has no ambition and does not work, and he spends much of his time fooling around with his seductive wife, Eula, played by Lee Remick. His 23-year-old daughter, Clara, played by Joanne Woodward, is clever, but he feels she also wastes her time on novel pursuits. While most of her friends are married, Clara has been dating Alan Stewart, played by Richard Anderson, for 6 long years. He's a mama's boy that just can't bring himself to asking Clara to marry him. Jody feels like nothing that he does is ever good enough for his father, and Clara plainly doesn't like the way that he treats all of them. Suddenly, into their lives comes Ben Quick, played by Paul Newman, who Jody hires while Will is hospitalized to do some sharecropping on some current vacant land. Will comes to view Ben as the son that he never had, as he's made much in the same mold that he is. He does whatever he can to get Ben to be a part of the family, to carry on the Varner name, which most importantly means marrying his daughter Clara. Through the process, Clara may come to the realization about what she really wants in life, while Jody does whatever he can to retain his position in the family. Orson Welles was 42 years old when he was cast in this role as a 61-year-old man, and the scorching heat of Louisiana, where the movie was filmed, didn't help his temperament at all on the set. It's said that he was terribly difficult living in his own skin while the movie filming was underway. He was very heavy, and they were working in these dreadful conditions that caused him to perspire heavily. They had tons of makeup on him to make him look the part. Part of that heavy makeup was a prosthetic nose that Orson Welles wore, something he often did for a lot of his acting roles. The heat made him sweat so much that his fake nose kept coming unglued and would ruin an entire shot. It's also said that another reason that he had trouble making the movie was because he was usually in control of his own projects, and it was really hard for him to do things someone else's way. He was always nudging and pushing for things, and he wanted to change lines in the script, but they usually didn't give in to him at all because they didn't feel like it was best for everybody else in the scene. He irritated his co-stars by overlapping his own lines with their dialogue, ad-libbing and mumbling to the point where his lines were almost incomprehensible. There was no question about it. He was very difficult on the set, but there was something that intrigued and was irresistible about Orson himself. Most people on the set felt that he was outnumbered because he was confronted by all these young hotshots who thought they were so great because they had come from New York and the actor's studio. And this was a real problem for him. In one interesting note, it's often said that Martin Ritt, the director, forever is known for the man that tamed Orson Welles in this movie. He supposedly, during the filming, drove Welles to a local swamp, kicked him out of the car, and forced him to find his own way back. Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward kind of channeled their off-screen chemistry into their characters, and they worked beautifully together. They seemed to have a total understanding of each other, in that they were able to work in these scenes where they were at each other's throats or falling under each other's spell. This film marks Joanne Woodward and Paul Newman's first cinematic collaboration. And a month after the production wrapped, they ended up getting married in Las Vegas. The director went out of his way to film in authentic locations in southern locales. Yet the southern accents that were done by most of the players, except for Joanne Woodward, were unbelievably off-mark and completely unlike what you would hear in Louisiana. A similar situation developed many years later with the director's movie Norma Ray from 1979, which took place in North Carolina and had Sally Field doing a pretty bad North Carolina drawl. During post-production, Martin Ritt found that it was nearly impossible to understand any of Orson Welles' dialogue. He and his team worked overtime to improve what they could through post-dubbing. Quite a few of the cast members thought that Welles had done this quite deliberately as a way to show his contempt for the method actors from the actor's studio. But no one could absolutely be sure of this. Angela Lansbury relished her role and thoroughly enjoyed working with the director. She states that he had a wonderful enthusiasm and an earthy sexual quality himself, and that he loved the idea of the dirtiness of the carryings-on that went on in the film. And she believed that he certainly brought out every bit of naughty sexuality that she had buried deep inside of her. The film was received well by the critics, and its success revitalized the director Ritt's career. This is a really good film, and you ought to take the time to watch it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.